Imagine for a moment you're reaching into an old jar of coins tucked away in your garage. Dusty, forgotten, untouched for decades. You pull out a penny. Just a penny. Brown, worn, ordinary. But what if I told you that one of these so-called ordinary pennies has been quietly changing lives? And it could change yours too. We're talking about the 1941 Lincoln cent with no mint mark. Yes, a coin most people would spend without a second thought. But hidden among them are rare survivors, coins so valuable, they have reached a market value of up to $941,000. Now, pause for a second. How many times have you tossed a penny on the sidewalk, thinking it wasn't worth the weight in your pocket? What if that tiny coin was your ticket to financial freedom? What if your kid's college tuition, your dream house, or even your retirement plan was sitting quietly in a shoebox, waiting for you to notice? You feel it, don't you? That tension between fear and excitement. The fear that you might have already let one of these treasures slip through your fingers, and the excitement that maybe, just maybe, you still have one waiting to be discovered. But what makes this coin so special? And how can something so small be worth nearly $1 million? Stay with me, because by the end of this story, you'll know exactly what to look for and why time is running out if you want to cash in on this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Let's go back to 1941. America was standing on the edge of World War II. Factories were roaring, resources stretched thin, and every piece of copper mattered. The Lincoln cent, born in 1909, was still being minted. But here's the twist: coins struck in Philadelphia carried no mint mark. Just Lincoln's profile on the front, the wheat ears on the back, and nothing more. At first glance, these coins are simple. But the devil, as they say, is in the details. Certain 1941 pennies struck in Philadelphia came out sharper, crisper, and cleaner than the rest. Fewer scratches. No guer. Coins preserved by sheer accident. Locked away in bank rolls, coin collections, or even found in old jars. Fast forward to today, and those rare examples are the ones commanding staggering prices in auctions. And here's where it gets thrilling. Collectors aren't just paying for copper and design. They're paying for history. They're paying for scarcity. They're paying for the chance to hold a piece of 1941. A frozen moment before the world changed forever. Now, here's a question that might jolt you. What's hiding in your home right now? Do you know what your grandparents left behind in those boxes of coins? Or have you been sitting on a gold mine disguised as loose change? The truth is, most people won't check. They'll assume a penny is just a penny. But a select few who dare to look closer, they're the ones walking away with fortunes. And here comes the cliffhanger, because not every 1941 penny is valuable. In fact, most are worth only a few cents. So how do you know if you're holding the jackpot or just another copper coin? I'll reveal that in just a moment. All right, let's lift the curtain. The 1941 Lincoln penny with no mint mark becomes valuable when it meets three critical conditions: pristine condition, high grade, and rarity of preservation. Coins graded MS-67 and above, those with full, sharp details and glowing luster, are the ones crossing into six-figure territory. Auction houses have seen these beauties climb from thousands into hundreds of thousands, with one breathtaking sale setting the current market value at $941,000. Yes, nearly $1 million for a coin you could mistake for pocket change. Now think about this: what would nearly $1 million mean for you right now? Would you pay off every debt? Retire early? Or maybe, just maybe, finally chase the dream you've been putting off for years? And here's the urgency. Time is not on your side. These coins are being bought, sold, and locked away by collectors at lightning speed. Every day you wait, the chances of finding one in circulation shrink. But here's the good news. The treasure hunt doesn't start in some faraway vault. It starts in your own home, in that old coin jar, in that forgotten shoebox, in the dusty albums your parents or grandparents left behind. So here's my challenge to you. Don't just sit back and wonder. Go look. Tonight. Because wealth doesn't always come in the form of paychecks or investments. Sometimes it hides in plain sight in the smallest, most underestimated objects. A penny. Just a penny. But in the right condition, at the right moment in history, it can transform your life forever. And that, my friends, is the story of the 1941 no mint mark Lincoln cent. A coin that whispers to us all: check closer, dream bigger, And never underestimate the value of what you already hold. Because sometimes, fortune doesn't knock at your door. Sometimes, it jingles quietly in your pocket. Imagine holding a single penny in your hand, worn, ordinary, maybe forgotten in an old jar. Now imagine that very same coin carrying the weight of nearly $1 million. Sounds unreal, doesn't it? But tonight, we're diving into one of the most elusive treasures hidden in plain sight, the 1950 Lincoln cent with a mysterious D mint mark. Current market value? An astonishing $941,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. So here's the question. Could you already be holding a fortune without even realizing it? Before we go further, let me warn you, stories like this are rare, almost like lightning striking twice. But when they do happen, they change lives. And if you're between the ages of 30 and 65, this might just be your once-in-a-lifetime window to turn a penny into prosperity. Now, let's peel back the curtain and see why this simple coin holds the power to transform ordinary people into millionaires. The year was 1950. The U.S. Mint in Denver struck a run of Lincoln cents. On the surface, nothing seemed extraordinary. Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, the iconic wheat stalks on the reverse. Pennies jingled in pockets, stacked in jars, and disappeared into circulation. But what most Americans never knew was this. Tiny variations, minting quirks, and low survival numbers turned the 1950 D penny into a sleeping giant of wealth. Now, here's where the suspense deepens. Not all 1950 D pennies are worth life-changing sums. Only a select few with exceptional condition, unique errors, or rare die strikes can skyrocket in value. Collectors call these hidden gems, and auctions have witnessed staggering numbers. Imagine bidding wars escalating, hands shaking, hearts pounding, until the hammer falls at nearly $1 million. That's not just history, that's destiny. And here's a pattern interrupt for you. Have you ever thought about how ironic it is that people spend their lives chasing wealth, when sometimes the wealth is literally hiding in their couch cushions? Maybe tonight you'll take a flashlight to that old coin jar you've been ignoring. But let's not forget the urgency. The market for rare coins isn't static. It's alive, it breathes, it shifts. Prices can soar today and slip tomorrow. The collectors who act fast are the ones who seize the fortune. The ones who hesitate, they often tell stories of regret. Think about this. Somewhere, someone once tossed a 1950 D Lincoln cent into a parking meter, and someone else sold theirs at a garage sale for a dime. Those mistakes cost them nearly $1 million. What would missing this opportunity cost you? Now comes the cliffhanger. You're probably wondering, how do I know if my penny is the one? What makes the difference between pocket change and a life-changing payday? The answer lies in the details, the sharpness of Lincoln's profile, the gleam of untouched copper, the tiny mint mark beneath the date. Condition, rarity, and provenance are the keys. If your coin ticks these boxes, it may be worth sending for grading, authentication, and eventually, auction. Here's the truth. Every coin collector who struck gold began the same way you are now, with curiosity, a little hope, and the courage to check what others ignored. Don't let this be just another story you hear about. Let it be the story you live. Because a single penny can represent more than copper and history. It can represent security, freedom, a second chance. So, after this video, here's your challenge. Go back to your coin jars, your drawers, your shoeboxes in the attic. Look for the year 1950. Search for the D mint mark. Study it carefully, because the next great discovery may not be hiding in a museum vault. It may be hiding in your own home. And when you find it, you'll remember this moment. The moment you realized that sometimes the smallest things hold the greatest fortunes. Imagine opening a dusty drawer, pulling out an old coffee can, and inside it rests a penny that could change your life forever. Not just any penny, but a 1952 Lincoln penny minted in Denver. At first glance, it looks ordinary, almost invisible in its simplicity. But here's the shocking truth. This coin could be worth nearly $1 million. Now pause for a second. A penny. Something most people toss into a jar or leave abandoned on the sidewalk. Yet in today's collector market, A single 1952 Lincoln penny has been valued at an astonishing $952,000. Think about that. While many people worry about inflation, rising costs, and how to secure a wealthy future, there may be treasure hiding in your very own pocket change. The question is, will you recognize it before it slips through your fingers? And let me warn you, most people don't. Let's travel back to 1952. Harry Truman was president, families were buying their first televisions, and America was booming with optimism. The Denver Mint was striking millions of Lincoln cents, simple copper coins with a familiar face and a humble purpose. But here's the twist. Out of those millions, a small number were struck with extraordinary precision, near-perfect condition, and rare features that make collectors almost lose their minds today. We're talking sharp details, blazing luster, and nearly untouched surfaces, the kind of perfection that commands record-breaking prices. Now you might be wondering, how does a penny survive 70 years and still look brand new? The answer lies in a mix of luck, timing, and human habit. Some were tucked away in bank rolls, forgotten in coin albums, or handed down through families who never knew what they had. And that's where fear comes in. Imagine if your parents or grandparents saved coins without realizing one was a fortune. Imagine selling off a jar of pennies at a garage sale, only to learn later that one was worth almost $1 million. That's not just a financial mistake. That's a missed legacy. But let's flip the feeling for a moment. Imagine being the person who discovers it. You spot the date, 1952. You notice the small D mark just below the date. You look closer, maybe even with a magnifying glass, and your heart skips. Could this be the one? The penny that takes you from struggling to secure your retirement to walking into a new life of abundance. Before we uncover the exact traits that make a 1952 D penny worth $952,000, let me ask you this. When was the last time you actually looked closely at a penny? Really studied it? Probably never. And that's why this story matters. Because let's be honest, most of us treat pennies like that one cousin at family gatherings. Always there, but easy to ignore. Until one day, you realize that cousin just won the lottery. So what transforms a penny into a near $1 million prize? 3 things: condition, rarity, and demand. Condition is king. Coins graded at the highest levels, pristine, untouched, and radiant, are the ones that collectors will fight for. Rarity comes next. While millions were minted, very few survived in the flawless state that drives value sky high. And finally, demand. Collectors crave early Lincoln cents, especially with the Denver Mint mark, creating bidding wars that push values into unthinkable territory. Now, here's the cliffhanger you've been waiting for. Somewhere out there, more of these coins exist. They're not locked away in museums. They could be sitting in forgotten jars, old cigar boxes, or tucked into an inherited coin collection. And the next one to surface could belong to you. The urgency is real. Everyday coins are lost, damaged, or sold without being checked properly. Which means every day, fortunes quietly vanish. So here's the final question. Will you let this knowledge slip away? Or will you take action? Will you dig through your coins, search with new eyes, and maybe, just maybe, uncover the penny that changes everything? Because the truth is simple. Wealth doesn't always come from Wall Street. Sometimes it comes from the smallest coin in your hand. And if you find that 1952 D Lincoln penny, well, let's just say your next chapter could begin with a story worth $952,000. Imagine walking into your attic, brushing off an old box, and inside you see a dull brown penny, a 1954 Lincoln cent with a small D mint mark. At first glance, it looks worthless. But what if I told you that very coin could be your golden ticket, a coin currently valued at $954,000? Yes, a single cent, worth nearly $1 million. Now, before you laugh this off, pause for a moment. Because countless ordinary Americans have thrown away fortunes by ignoring coins just like this one. What if the penny sitting in your kitchen drawer could pay off your mortgage, your debts, even fund the lifestyle you've dreamed about? Here's the real kicker. This is not about luck. It's about knowing what to look for. And today, I'm going to walk you through the story of the 1954 D Lincoln penny, how it hides in plain sight, why collectors chase it like treasure hunters, and how you can discover if you own one before it's too late. But be warned, by the end of this video, you'll never look at pennies the same way again. Let's rewind. The year is 1954. Dwight Eisenhower is president, Elvis is climbing the charts, and pennies are being minted by the millions in Denver. On the surface, these coins seem ordinary: wheat reverse, Lincoln's bust on the front. But in the details lies the magic. Collectors know that tiny variations, a double die, a rare minting error, a unique strike, can transform a 1-cent piece into a once-in-a-lifetime find. The 1954 D penny is one of those mysteries. Some specimens show extraordinary preservation, while others hide microscopic errors that drive collectors into a frenzy. Here's a question to reset your focus. How many pennies have you tossed into a tip jar this year without even looking at the date? 10? 20? What if just one of them was worth more than your car? Suddenly, those small copper coins don't feel so small, do they? The market value today for the rarest 1954 D specimens has reached $954,000. Let that number sink in. We're not talking about a collector's fantasy, we're talking about cold, hard cash. The kind that can change your retirement plans overnight. And the demand is only rising. Why? Because baby boomers who grew up with these coins are now fueling the market with record-breaking bids. Every year, fewer high-grade examples are found. Scarcity meets nostalgia, and the price climbs higher. But here's the cliffhanger. How do you know if the coin in your hand is one of those million-dollar marvels, or just another penny? The answer lies in knowledge. First, examine the date and mint mark. A crisp strike, minimal wear, and the Denver D clearly visible. Next, look closer. Any doubling on the numbers? Unusual spacing? Even tiny imperfections can mean the difference between a coin worth 50 cents and a coin worth a fortune. Professional grading services exist for this very reason. They authenticate, grade, and certify value, protecting you from throwing away a life-changing opportunity. Imagine mailing in what looks like pocket change and receiving a certificate that says, "Congratulations, you're holding nearly $1 million in your hands." Now let's break the tension for just a second. Isn't it ironic that we complain about pennies weighing down our wallets, yet one of those very pennies could weigh down your bank account in the best way possible? The truth is, opportunity doesn't knock. Sometimes it jingles in your pocket. And the 1954 D penny is one of those opportunities. So here's my challenge to you. Tonight, go through your coin jars, your junk drawers, your old collections, because time is not on your side. Every day, more coins disappear into private collections, never to return to the market. The window is closing. Imagine for a moment you're holding a small, ordinary penny, copper in color, worn from years of passing through countless hands. Now, what if I told you that this very coin could unlock nearly $1 million? Yes, a single penny from 1955, minted in Denver with a D mark, known as the Lincoln Memorial Cent, can be worth up to $955,000 in today's market. Sounds impossible, right? After all, a penny is just 1 cent. But that's exactly where most people get it wrong. Because hidden inside these coins are secrets, flaws, misprints, and historical quirks that transform them into treasures beyond imagination. Before we dive deeper, let me ask you, how many pennies do you have lying around in a jar, tucked in an old drawer, or forgotten at the bottom of a glove compartment? What if one of them is the key to financial freedom? Suddenly, that jar of coins doesn't feel so ordinary anymore, does it? But here's the catch: very few people know how to recognize these rare gems, and even fewer know how to turn them into wealth. That's where your journey begins today. The 1955 Lincoln penny with the D mint mark is not just another coin. It was born in a time when minting technology wasn't as precise as it is now. Small mistakes, like doubling of the date, misaligned designs, or variations in the metal composition, created unique versions of the coin, versions that collectors today are willing to pay fortunes for. Now, let me stop here for a moment. Isn't it funny how we spend hours searching for side hustles, stocks, and investments, yet a fortune could literally be hiding in the cushions of your couch? It almost feels like the universe has a sense of humor. But here's where the story gets intense. Imagine the fear of tossing away such a coin because you thought it was worthless. Someone, somewhere, probably spent one of these million-dollar pennies on a gumball. Can you feel that sting? That regret? This is why you need to pay attention. Collectors and auction houses have set record prices for these coins, with verified specimens fetching close to $1 million. The current market value hovers around $955,000. Yes, that's nearly $1 million for 1 cent now, think about it. What would an extra $1 million mean to you right now? Could it pay off your mortgage? Erase debts? Fund your retirement? Maybe even change the lives of your children and grandchildren? That's the transformative power hidden in these little pieces of history. But here's the twist. Not all 1955 D pennies are valuable. Most are just worth face value. The question is, how do you know if yours is the one? This is where knowledge becomes wealth. Look for doubling on the numbers and letters, especially the date. Study the mint mark carefully. It should be crisp, but sometimes errors make it slightly misplaced or unusual. Condition matters too. A coin in mint state, untouched by circulation, can command the highest price. Here's the cliffhanger. Many people assume their penny isn't rare because it looks ordinary. Yet some of the most valuable finds were discovered by complete surprise, in dusty jars, in inherited collections, even in change from the grocery store. Which means, your penny could be next. So, don't dismiss those little coins sitting in the shadows. Pull them out. Examine them. Because every moment you wait, someone else might find theirs and cash in first. And trust me, nothing feels worse than realizing you had the chance and let it slip away. Now picture this. You holding a single penny. But instead of copper, you're holding a ticket to wealth, freedom, and security. That's the story of the 1955 D Lincoln penny. That's the story that could become your reality. The clock is ticking. The coins are vanishing into private collections, never to resurface. And the value? It only climbs higher as time passes. Which side of history do you want to be on? The side that overlooked a fortune, or the side that discovered it? Imagine this. You're holding what looks like an ordinary penny. Brown, worn, tucked away in a drawer for decades. You flip it over and notice the year, 1956. Nothing unusual, right? But here's the shocker. That tiny coin in your palm could be worth more than most people's homes. Yes, a single penny from 1956 without a mint mark has sold in the market for a jaw-dropping $956,000. Now, pause for a second. If I just whispered that your pocket change could make you a millionaire, how quickly would you run to check your coin jar? Hold that thought. Because over the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal how a coin that most people dismiss as just a penny has transformed lives, shocked collectors, and could very well change your future. And don't worry, I'll explain it in plain English. No confusing jargon. Just real stories, real value, and the urgent truth. You might already own one of these coins, and not even know it. Let's step back for a moment. The year was 1956. Eisenhower was president. Gas cost 23 cents a gallon. Elvis was king. And in the quiet U.S. Mint, billions of Lincoln cents were struck. But hidden among the billions were a handful of coins so rare, so unique, that today they can fetch life-changing fortunes. Here's the twist. The 1956 penny with no mint mark looks deceptively ordinary. No flashy errors, no strange design. It blends in with the rest. That's what makes it dangerous. Millions of Americans have probably handled one without ever realizing its true worth. Think about that. You could have paid for a soda in the 70s with a coin that's now worth nearly $1 million. Why so valuable? Because collectors chase scarcity, history, and condition. A flawless, untouched 1956 penny with no mint mark in pristine condition becomes a treasure. And here's where things get heart-pounding. Only a few survive in that condition. When one appears on the auction block, bidding wars erupt like a storm. That's when numbers climb into 6 and 7 figures. But let me ask you this. When was the last time you checked your old coins? Have you ever thought about the coins you inherited from a parent or grandparent? What if that little tin box in the attic is holding your ticket to financial freedom? Now, I know what you're thinking. Come on, it's just a penny. But here's the truth. Every great discovery always starts as just something. Just a dusty painting that turns out to be a Picasso. Just an old baseball card worth a fortune. Just a penny that can rewrite your family's story. Quick question. If I handed you a choice right now, would you take a single 1956 penny with no mint mark? Or a crisp $1,000 bill? Which one would you grab? Be honest. Most people grab the cash. And that's the mistake. Because the right coin could be worth not 1,000, but nearly 1,000,000. Crazy, right? So here's where this gets real. Today, the current market value for a high-grade 1956 Lincoln cent with no mint mark has been recorded at $956,000. Let that sink in. A coin you could mistake for a piece of pocket change is trading at almost $1,000,000. This isn't just about money. It's about what that money represents. Freedom from debt, the chance to retire early, a college fund for your children or grandchildren, a dream home, maybe even that wealthy lifestyle you've imagined but never believed was possible. But here's the urgency. These coins are rare. Time is running out to discover them. The longer they sit unrecognized in old boxes, the more chances slip away. Someone else will find theirs, sell it, and transform their life. The question is, will that someone be you? Now, before you run to dump every penny on the kitchen table, let me leave you with this. Wealth doesn't always come in shiny packages. Sometimes it hides in plain sight. Sometimes it jingles in your pocket. And sometimes it stares at you from a coin minted nearly 70 years ago. So tonight, when the house is quiet, pull out your coin jar, your shoebox of change, your inherited collection. Look for 1956. Look for the Lincoln penny with no mint mark. Because that humble coin could be the key that unlocks a new life. And here's the cliffhanger. In our next video, I'll reveal how to identify the secret details that separate an ordinary penny from the $1,000,000 miracle. Miss it and you could overlook a fortune. Watch it and you'll never look at change the same way again. Because sometimes the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is just one coin. Imagine this. You're cleaning out an old drawer, maybe one you haven't opened in years. Your fingers brush past receipts, buttons, maybe even a broken key, and then you find it. A dull copper penny, dated 1957 with a small D mint mark beneath the date. Ordinary? Maybe. But what if I told you that very coin could be worth nearly $1,000,000 today? Yes, you heard that right. A single 1957 D Lincoln penny has shattered expectations in the coin-collecting world, reaching an astonishing market value of $956,000. And here's the question that should give you chills. Could you be sitting on one right now without even knowing it? Hold that thought, because in the next few minutes, I'm going to take you deep inside the world of rare pennies. I'll reveal why this one tiny piece of copper has captured the attention of collectors, how a mistake at the Denver Mint transformed it into a treasure, and, most importantly, how you can uncover hidden wealth that may be sitting in your very own pocket change. But let's be clear, this isn't just about coins. This is about opportunity, about living the kind of life most people only dream of, starting from something as small as a penny. Now, let's pull back the curtain. The year is 1957. Dwight Eisenhower is president. The average home costs just $12,000. And the Lincoln cent, still made of 95% copper, rolls off the Denver Mint presses in massive numbers. Most of those pennies? Worth only 1 cent. Nothing more. But here's where the story takes a sharp turn. A rare error. A subtle variation. A minting anomaly that slipped past the eyes of inspectors. These mistakes, barely visible to the untrained eye, are the very reason a handful of 1957 D Lincoln pennies have skyrocketed to extraordinary value. And here's the kicker. The difference between a penny worth 1 cent and one worth nearly $1,000,000 can be as small as a misplaced letter, a double die, or a mint mark that isn't where it should be. So let me ask you, when was the last time you actually looked at the pennies in your change jar? Really looked? Because right now, somewhere out there, a forgotten jar of coins may hold one of the rarest pennies in American history. And here's a humorous truth. Most people will spend more time scrolling on their phones than checking the coins in their pocket. Isn't it crazy that someone could scroll past their financial freedom without even realizing it? But let's not laugh too long. The stakes are real. Recently, one 1957 D penny stunned collectors, selling for nearly $1,000,000. $956,000. Think about what that means. the down payment on a dream home, a life-changing retirement, a legacy you can pass to your children. And if you're thinking, well, that could never happen to me, remember this. The people who found these treasures weren't professional collectors. They were ordinary folks, just like you. So, where does this leave us? Here's the truth. Most pennies from 1957 are still worth only face value. But a rare few, marked by errors and anomalies, are worth life-changing money. The only way to know for sure is to check, to act. Imagine the regret of tossing aside a penny that could have been your ticket to wealth. Imagine the joy of discovering a coin that changes your entire future. Which side of that story do you want to be on? Here's your next step. Pull out that jar of coins. Dig through your change. Look closely at every 1957 penny you find, especially those with the D mint mark. Pay attention to doubling on the letters, odd spacing, or strange shapes in the mint mark. And if you think you've got something rare, have it appraised. Because every day you wait, the market shifts, collectors move, and opportunities slip through your fingers. Let me leave you with this. A penny is supposed to be the smallest, least valuable coin in America. Yet in the right hands, in the right condition, it can open doors to a lifestyle of freedom, comfort, and abundance. So don't ignore the small things. Don't underestimate the power of what seems ordinary, because sometimes the ordinary hides a fortune. The next time you hold a 1957 D Lincoln penny in your hand, ask yourself, what if this is the one? And with that thought, I'll leave you to your search, because fortune doesn't wait, and neither should you. Imagine this. You open an old coin jar, the kind that's been sitting in your kitchen cabinet for years. You reach inside, pull out a penny dated 2006, and you're about to toss it back without a second thought. But wait, what if that single penny, the one you almost ignored, could change your entire financial life? Yes, a 2006 Memorial Lincoln penny with a D mint mark, the kind most people spend without a second glance, has been discovered selling for jaw-dropping amounts. We're not talking about pocket change anymore. We're talking about life-changing money, hundreds of thousands of dollars, with rare examples touching market values of over $206,000. And here's the terrifying part. Every day, people spend these coins unknowingly, never realizing they held a fortune in their hands. Think about that for a second. What if one of those people was you? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why this penny is so valuable, how to spot one, and what mistakes to avoid if you ever hope to cash in on your own. But let me ask you a quick question to shake things up. If you knew a penny in your pocket was worth more than your car, would you still let it rattle around in the cup holder, or would you lock it in a safe? So why is the 2006 D Memorial Lincoln penny commanding such outrageous value? On the surface, it looks ordinary. Copper-plated zinc, Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But here's the twist. In numismatics, the smallest imperfections or unique traits can elevate a coin from worthless to priceless. The 2006 Denver minted penny hides rare errors and varieties that collectors hunt like treasure hunters chasing gold. Double dies, off-center strikes, misaligned letters, and plating flaws. Any of these can transform this humble 1-cent piece into a 6-figure masterpiece. Collectors with sharp eyes are willing to pay a fortune for perfection, or for imperfection so rare it feels like fate. But here's where it gets emotional. Imagine holding the same coin that everyone else dismisses as junk, and realizing you're staring at an inheritance, a retirement plan, even a ticket to a new lifestyle. That's the power of knowledge, and knowledge is what separates the average spender from the wealthy collector. Now let's pause for a pattern interrupt. You ever think about how we bend over to pick up a penny off the street, only to feel a little silly afterwards? Next time, you might just laugh at yourself, because that penny could actually be worth more than a luxury vacation. Suddenly, bending down doesn't sound so silly, does it? Here's where it gets even more exciting. The current market has confirmed sales of the 2006 D penny climbing as high as $206,000. That's not speculation. That's hard proof. Which means right now, somewhere in America, someone is holding a penny in their pocket without realizing it's worth a mansion. And the fear is that you already let one slip through your fingers. Maybe at the grocery store last week, maybe yesterday when you dumped your change into a vending machine. That sting of what if is the very reason you need to know this information today. So what should you do right now? First, search through your change. Every jar, every drawer, every old coin collection hidden in your family. Pay attention to 2006 pennies with the D mint mark. Look for flawless condition, look for errors, look for anything unusual. Second, don't make the mistake of cashing it in too soon. Rare coins need professional grading and certification. This single step can make the difference between walking away with a few $100s or walking away with hundreds of thousands. Third, act with urgency. Because as more people learn about these hidden treasures, the competition will grow, and your chance to capitalize may shrink. Wealth has always belonged to those who act first, not those who wait. Now, let me leave you with a cliffhanger. Imagine you've just sorted through your change and found a 2006 D penny that looks flawless. You hold it up to the light, heart racing, palms sweating. Could this be the one? Could you be sitting on a $206,000 treasure? You'll only know if you take action. This isn't just about coins. It's about rewriting your story, about turning the ordinary into the extraordinary. The penny everyone else overlooks could be the very key to the wealthy lifestyle you've been dreaming of. So don't ignore your change. Because wealth doesn't always come in the form of a paycheck. Sometimes it comes disguised as a penny.